Hey friends, what's up? Philip here with Points of Philip. Things are looking a little bit different today because, well, there's a lot to process with the Southwest credit cards. And some of you have been asking about my reaction to this. And, well, thank you for that. First of all, I appreciate your support and your interest in my channel. But it's a little delayed because, well, I probably have something a little unhealthy I need to, well, confess to you guys. And that's what this card here, the Southwest card, kind of is something that I have kind of an irrational emotional attachment to. And well, I kind of feel personally let down by Southwest and Chase here. But let's get into it. And, I'm going to have to come clean with you guys and we'll go from there. But before we do that, I want to ask you guys to like and subscribe. Doing that helps me and YouTube know that what I'm doing is good and helpful for you guys. And well, that also helps more people to see it. So I really appreciate that. If you do have an emotional attachment to a card, or if you think I'm crazy, please let me know in the comment section below. I really appreciate hearing from you guys. And well, I love kind of your input on this whole journey. But anyway, thanks so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. But let's get into Chase. So for those of you that have seen some of my other videos, you know that my financial background is not positive. I came from a single parent household, and one that really wasn't that financially well versed in how to maintain credit, maintain actual money, things like that. Budgeting was not really much of a topic of discussion. And so, well, I left college and I had a couple of negative credit experiences. And well, that unfortunately left me in a position where, well, really didn't have a lot of options for credit cards. And so for much of my young adult life, I didn't have any extra money. But, well, that started to change once I moved back down to Florida and started to actually get my life together, paid off some of those collections, things like that. And, well, this was my first travel card. This is the Southwest Plus credit card, Rapid Rewards. This is kind of my first travel card because, well, this was a mail-in offer and it was a solid mail-in offer. I think it was 100,000 points. And then I even had a 50,000 point, I forgot how I got those points. I think maybe either a referral or I threatened to cancel or something. And well, I ended up having 150,000 Southwest points at one point. And honestly, the reason why I like this is, first of all, this is my first travel card. This is the first card that made me feel like what I was doing with rebuilding my financial life was actually working. And this felt like a very real affirmation of that fact. And so that meant a lot to me. And another thing that meant a lot to me was we were actually able to use these miles I was actually able to take my wife on our first ever married trip to Nashville. Shortly after, so this was the year after, COVID, 2020, December 2020. We were trying to figure out where we wanted to go. We decided to do a kind of a road tour around Tennessee, featuring Nashville, and then also hitting up Knoxville and Chattanooga and a couple other places. But we were able to use the points I got from this card, from the sign-up bonus and from spending on this card, to take care of that. And that was the first time that I ever felt like a responsible adult and, one that was actually able to benefit from this credit card game. And so, Southwest at its heyday meant a lot to me because it was friendly, right? So my only real experience with Southwest is after the COVID change in policies. And so having, automatically refundable, travel credits that never expire, the fact that your points go back in your account immediately if you ever cancel a flight. These are things that felt friendly, right? These are things that made it feel like this is the one airline that has your back. And one of the things that I hate about this is it's changing, right? It's changing in a way that, just makes me sad for what was and maybe what could have been. But anyway, let's take a look at kind of the current state of things and why these Southwest cards are terrible. These Southwest cards are terrible. There is no way to sugarcoat it. But with that said, now might be the best time to get them. So let's get into that. So in order to do that, we need to talk about, first of all, what it was. So this card was a Southwest Plus Rewards card. I was given an upgrade offer to the Southwest Priority card. So this is the card that I currently have. And one of the great things about this card is the fact that it costs $149, but you get $75 each year in Southwest credit, or at least you did until last week. And then you got 7,500 points with Southwest, which meant that you were essentially getting more than $149 just from those two things. However, this one, in addition to the fact that you had 2 free checked bags with Southwest, it also gave you 4 upgraded boardings each year. And so that meant that you get to be one of the first 15 people, barring those of you that need a wheelchair to get onto the plane. I'm going to leave that where it is. And then, the family boarding, of course. But to be one of the first people on the plane and to be able to choose kind of a closer row, maybe even the poor man's first class where you have, that exit row legroom, these are solid options with this card. So this card was a no-brainer to carry because it gave you back that value, and all you had to do was, fly Southwest at some point in the future in order to get that value, because those points were able to be saved from year to year, and then that credit was able to be saved indefinitely from year to year. That has changed drastically. So this card here, we're going to take a look at some of these. I'm going to present this screen here. And so we're going to take a look here at this option. So first of all, the card member benefits, the priority card here, you see, first of all, the card annual fee has increased significantly. And so this card is now not going to be $149 a month. It's going to be $225 a month, or a year, sorry. And let's take a look at what you get from it. So we have the priority card. You get complimentary preferred seat at booking. And so preferred seat is just a seat that you get to pick, right? So this is nice that you don't have to pay extra to be able to select your seats. So if you're traveling with a family, you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to be able to sit together. Now you get the first checked bag free, but that's also true of, any airline card nowadays. And you get extra, and that's also true if you get just the plus cards, right? So you don't need the priority for that, but you do get extra legroom seat upgrade. Now, what remains to be seen is how much this is actually going to give you. And so, how available are these upgrades going to be? And there's a thing too that, I'm someone who's wider, and so having more room this way doesn't really get you anything more than having more room this way. That's something Southwest just doesn't offer because, they're still a budget airline. Now, you do still get the $7,500 or 7,500 anniversary points. That helps a little bit because those points will never expire. But you earn 4 points per dollar on Southwest points or Southwest purchases, and then you get 2 points per dollar on gas stations and restaurants, which is actually kind of nice because this one didn't really earn that well. It had, I think, a streaming category and an internet service kind of category. It didn't really work that well, but what you don't see is anything that makes up for, that higher annual fee. You don't see credits. There's no coupons. You do have no foreign transaction fees, which are nice, but you don't get any more early bird check-ins, but you just still get the upgraded boardings, supposedly. We'll see what that means. But yeah, there's a lot of what they've done is they've essentially changed the concrete benefits that you get with the priority card, and they've turned them into, kind of just points, rewards that you could get maybe someday if everything worked out right and the stars aligned, right? So they've in a very real sense increased the annual fee for these cards, taken away most of your concrete solid benefits. With this card before, you were able to say, okay, I can be the first 15 people on the airplane 4 times a year. That's out the window. Who knows, right? You do get group 5 boarding, so, whatever that means, right? And so, yeah, you don't really get that much anymore. Yeah, and you don't even get the flight discount on the priority. So that's weird. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot here that's missing, and it's really kind of makes it some of the worst air flying cards that we've seen. So let's take a look here at for instance, the Delta Gold Card. So if we take a look at the Delta SkyMiles Gold Card from Delta, this one here has an annual fee of $150, but it's waived in the first year. So that's really awesome. However, you also get, the Takeoff 15 if you're redeeming points. You also get the $200 Delta flight credit if you spend $10,000 in a calendar year. But you also get Delta Stays credit. I believe, it's $100. So for that $150 annual fee, you get $100 in credits straight off the top. And now this is for hotels that you have to book through Delta Stays, but it's relatively easy to get value from. So here's the thing. This one gives you way more value than any of these cards do. But okay, let's take a look at why you might actually want to get this card now. So let's take a look here at the bonuses. So these sign-up bonuses are higher, and that's a good thing for our purposes. So you're able to get something called Companion Pass. And so what you have to do is you actually have to earn 135,000 qualifying points. Now, each dollar that you earn for points, essentially through the card, either the spending on the card bonuses, or just by spending money on Southwest flights, these all count. So here's the thing. You need 135,000 qualifying Southwest Rapid Rewards points within a calendar year in order to qualify for the next year of Companion Pass. And that's unlimited buy one, get one free seats for you and one other person. So here's the thing. You get the Premier Plus 100,000 point bonus. Now, that's pretty solid. So if you're getting any of these personal cards with Southwest, you get a 100,000 point bonus after spending $4,000 in the first 5 months. Now, here's the thing. If you get that plus the business card at 60,000 bonus points, then you get immediate qualification for that Companion Pass. Now, here's why that matters. Southwest has systematically gotten rid of every single reason why someone would want to fly with them. And I'm not just being dramatic here. People loved them for the 2 free checked bags. That's out the window. People loved them for the fact that you could choose your own seat. You didn't have to worry about, if you were last to actually book your flight. If you could get on board fast enough, then you got a reasonable chance of getting whatever seat you wanted. That went away, right? What they've done is they've increased, they've given you more higher legroom seats. What that means is that every single other seat gets 1 less inch of legroom. So comfort's out of the way. So it's no longer cheaper. It's no longer more comfortable. And one of the only reasons why people still love to fly Southwest is the fact that you get more and more direct flights. So from Orlando, I can fly to a lot of different places direct. And while that has a very real benefit on me, because, well, sometimes Atlanta just has a problem. And, well, you're going to sit there for 3 or 4 hours more than you thought you were, right? But here's the thing, Southwest is going away with that as well. So the Companion Pass, as it stands, is the one single thing left that hasn't been destroyed from the old Southwest. Now, that currently hasn't been destroyed yet. Heavy emphasis on yet, because, well, it's going to be eventually. Because, well, Southwest's newest motto is, if it exists, it can be destroyed. So, well, if you're someone who wants to go ahead and try to not only get 160 to 180,000 points that you can use for flights around the world, around the country, and to some places in Mexico, well, this is the best time to do it because, well, you can lock in this Companion Pass before it gets changed, which means you might be grandfathered in if they do decide to change it in the next year or so. And, you'll still be able to benefit from all these extra points. So, well, I definitely will probably be downgrading my priority back to the Plus, at least until I kill my 50,000 points of Southwest left. And I'm moving on to bigger and better things like Delta and American and United because I have other cards and other point systems that give me access to first class seats. This is a solid option for some people. And, well, if you are some of those people that want to try to lock in your last of the good things, the Companion Pass, while you can, well, there's a link in the description below about how you can go ahead and go about doing that. So anyway, please click on that. I really appreciate it. But anyway, thanks so much for joining me on this. I really appreciate you walking through this with me. But also let me know what you think about Southwest. Is it worth flying in 2025? Is it, well, or has it lost something? Anyway, you tell me. Thanks so much. And, well, I can't wait to see you guys until next time.